Okay, we're back here in the main work. We've got our 3D track all set up. We've got our roto all ready, and let's bring in some elements. All right, so we can take a look at a couple of these things. And this is going to be the guy that we're going to comp into the exterior for the set extension. And it is just a really quickly generated from Adobe Firefly. We've got kind of a basic kind of city skyline. Bunch of little spaceships have been added, which are moving, and they have little lights and blinking. And this will kind of add some motion and some life into the background, which is going to be super out of focus. Yeah, let's start with the exterior. Drag it down into our main work for now. I'm going to go ahead and pre-comp it immediately. Call this exterior plate. I'm actually going to pre-comp it immediately again, and we'll call it exterior work. And this will kind of help keep things organized. I'm going to take a copy of plate Denoised, bring it in here as well. This is where we're actually going to comp the exterior. Well, I actually need the roto work as well. Copy that one. So this exterior plate, just to get an idea of what's going on here, I could shrink this, move it around. Now let's utilize the roto that we did earlier to get it in the right spot. If we take a look at this roto work, we've got a red, green, and a blue channel on it. We're going to use the green channel in this case to isolate the area that we need this to be seen in the exterior. Well, there's a lot of different ways we could do this. What I'm going to do right now is actually utilize a shift channels. And we're going to set all of the take red from, green from, and blue from. I'm going to set them all to green. And then we'll only be looking at the green channel here. And we can actually use this now as a luma mat. So I can take this exterior plate, drag the track mat onto the roto work, switch it over to a luminance mat, and immediately it's getting stenciled out in the correct region. So right now it's just sitting perfectly still, unrelated to our 3D track. So we do need to make sure we get it in the right position. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and head over to where the camera is in our monitors comp. I'm going to just grab the base nulls, 3D camera, copy those, go to our exterior work. I'm going to paste those in. I'm going to take a look at the top view. You might be kind of hard to see this. So you can see where the camera is. You can see where at least all of our desk stuff is and all kind of the close proximity items. And what I want is this city skyline should be way out there. What I'm going to do is take that exterior plate, make it a 3D layer, and I'm going to start pushing it back in Z space. I'm going to switch back to top. Yeah, just kind of see where I am based on where the other things that it did track in the room were. Yeah, we'll want it to be pretty far away. Now I'm going to have to scale it up a bunch to kind of counteract that until we kind of get it back to where we want it here. That's looking pretty good. We can always come back and mess with the position later. While we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and put these nulls at the bottom so it's easier to see what we're doing here. Okay, head back to the main work where we've got our show color toggled on. There's a couple ways you could do this. We could turn the plate denoise off here so that basically this exterior work has an alpha and is completely isolated from the rest. We can comp it like this and then have the plate sitting underneath it like this. But we could also just leave this turned on, and this is kind of our new base plate, where kind of the exterior work is being done first, and then we'll start layering other items on top. Either way is perfectly fine. It's kind of a personal preference. Now that we're looking at our roto with other items in the comp, it's easier to see the edges and what they need, which is blur. So different edges might need different amounts of blur depending on the focus of the camera and where we are. We're going to need to work on that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into my exterior work. You want to boost the exposure a little bit. And I'll just lock this comp for a second. And I'm going to head into the roto work and open this up as a little side element here. And let's go ahead and zoom in on different parts of our image. Let's go ahead and look at his face, for instance. One thing I could do immediately is add a little bit of blur to the entire roto work. I'll do it inside here. I'm just going to do an adjustment layer at the tip top of our entire roto work where we give all of them a little bit of blur. That immediately helps all of our roto because there is an inherent softness to the entire plate. So we want to make sure we match that as closely as possible. So we're going to start with a base amount of blur on everything. Then from there, we'll focus on other objects and make sure we have enough. Like this back wall, for instance, it's the farthest away from camera. It's probably going to need the most blur. Here we go, the wall edge roto. I'm going to go ahead and add feather to its mask. I might even take that mask, pull its expansion in a little bit, just to make sure that we aren't getting some bright edges from the old plate. Same thing with this monitor. Mask expansion, just pull it in just a hair. The frame for the window, that's going to need quite a bit more blur. The roto around the actors should probably be pulled in just a little bit. Start bringing the expansion in on those. Even just 1 pixel goes a long way. Overall, it's looking much better. We can always come back and finesse this a little bit more, but let's just go with this for now. So I'm gonna go back to the exterior work where I was comping this in. And before I forget, let's change its blending mode. It'll look a lot better on add. Now that I'm looking at this here, I think I'm gonna tweak the position a little bit here. Maybe even make it a little bit bigger. I'm looking for some nice cinematic framing here. Get the right balance of buildings. Something like that looks great. So we're gonna go ahead and add some blur to this. Camera lens blur. Built into After Effects here. Start cranking it up a bit. Now to get some nice bokehs here, I'm gonna go ahead and make it round. We're gonna make these slightly anamorphic. We are going to add a little diffraction fringe. And we'll probably dial in the values a bit more later. Let's just go with something like that for now. All the little lights on all the ships really pick up, giving us nice little bokehs that are gonna follow them as they go. Let's go see how this is looking back in the main work with the color on it. It's looking pretty cool, like that. Make sure it extends to the top of the frame and we're not seeing any black edges. I think that looks pretty good. Looks like we've got it just right here so it doesn't expose any edges at the top. I feel like if you go any higher, you start to get kind of a weird perspective. It looks like you're looking down at the city instead of kind of out level with it. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's RAM preview it and check it out. Next step, let's comp some graphics.